as you all know, that this is the second day of our 10th International Conference organized by World Without Anger, Global Peace Foundation, and Kathmandu Business Campus. We are here in the Kathmandu Business Campus, as you know. So let me give permission to start our plenary session. First of all, I would like to salute all of you from my bottom of my heart, because all of you are respectable in the sense that you are all in the field of education, in the field of Mang Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati is blessing all of us to grow higher and higher in the education field and get eventually enlightened. Enlightenment is the last and final stage of education, I think. So we are in this field and we are very happy. We are very honored to be in this field, I think. So I would like to request our chairperson of this session, Dr. Ashish Sen, Chairman of Forum for Emotional Intelligence Learning, India. He is the one who have received Dean of International Peace Prize yesterday of 2020. We have to congratulate him for having this award. This award is one of the precious awards you have in Nepal. So he's the one who has been awarded this Peace Prize. So I would like, I won't go further because the time is always running. Time and tide wait for no man, we have heard for a long time ago. So the precious time should take its own role. So here we have Chairman Dr. Ashish Sen. So I would like to handle this mic to him so that we can listen to him, as well as the program will be smoothly conducted by him, we wish. Thank you so much.
So very good morning to all of you. And I see a lot of enthusiasm, smiles, which shows that this session has a foundation for success. Again, today we have a discussion which will have speakers like Matt, and a little about Matt. Matt has been a good friend last time in 2019 when I came. I met Matt, and he was talking about emotional intelligence. He was talking about applied emotional intelligence. He was talking about how students, executives could be helped by learning the concepts and the constructs of emotional intelligence. We have him today on a virtual mode. Is he there now? Yes. He's coming. Okay.
Hello.
So good morning to you, Matt, and good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We definitely
good evening.
Miss your physical presence, but we are virtually connected.
Yes.
And it is important to be connected either virtually or physically. So thanks for coming. And a little about Matt. He has been teaching emotional intelligence for about 35 years. That's an era. So he has been there as long as it takes to make the world a more peaceful place. And he's going to be there to make it a little more peaceful. He has 35 years of teaching experience. He founded EQ for Peace worldwide. And yesterday, we know in many of the sessions, EQ for Peace was partnering in more ways than one. He was the recipient of Dean of Peace Prize in 2019. And I know that it was his immense volume of work. It was the right kind of heart that he has for helping people that made him a very deserving candidate, the best candidate, right? He is, of course, yesterday you would have heard him. He's working in many, many places. In Asia, in India, of Asia, Nepal, Bangladesh, if I remember right, and a whole lot of places, including the
Africa.
US. Including the US. I'm sure the audience would be spellbound by his insightful discussion on the subject of peace and emotional intelligence, and would benefit immensely during the process. So right now, I would request you to strap your belts. You would not get shocks, but you need to focus, and please listen to his insightful talk. Matt, you are on.
Very good, Dr. Sen. Thank you. Thank you very much. You speak so well. I'm hard to follow you, but I do miss being there. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with a bunch of you that we met last time. I really enjoyed myself. One of the highlights of my life, actually. And so I'm honored to be back again, but I wish I could be there with you. It's different. We're together, but we're not. So it feels different. It's an emotional intelligence thing. It's an emotional intelligence thing. It's about connection. And that's one of the hugest things that we have found with emotional intelligence, that it requires connection. That one of the most important things that we've found in our lives is to be connected. The longest study ever done by Harvard University, I believe it's the longest, 82 years they've been following folks, and they're trying to figure out what's the most important thing for them. What was the most important thing for being healthy and happy and successful in their lives? It's called the Garner study out of Harvard University. And you know what the one thing was? One thing, exactly what we're just talking about, connection. It's about being connected with people, staying with your family. Oh, wait, it didn't have to be your family. It's staying with somebody. It's being able to be connected with somebody. And actually, it turned out that it was kind of anybody, which was interesting. It does not have to be your family. It's just someone that you feel very safe with, that you feel connected with, and that you want to be around. It's very emotional. It may not make any sense at all. It may not be logical. It may not be blood. It may not be family, but somebody. So, and what we're trying to translate the results of the studies into practical usage is that we being people who understand our emotions a little bit, who have some EQ, some amount of EQ, it's up to us to stay connected. It's our problem. It's our responsibility. Chances are people are not going to reach out to us and stay connected with us. They may, and that's wonderful. But knowing that it's so important means that we have to take responsibility for our own actions and our own lives. We have found that the three main components of emotional intelligence are thoughts, left brain, feelings, right brain, and our actions, what we do, our body, right? So that's about it. I mean, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of different models that we could use, but it kind of breaks down to our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And actually, I've added one more to it. Thoughts feelings, decisions, and actions, even more important, because the decisions are the point where we have the most control, right? We can adjust our thoughts, we can deal with our feelings, but our decisions are things that we have 100% control over at all times, and deciding to act or deciding not to act are critical. I was putting together a PowerPoint, and I had a bunch of studies and statistics and that sort of thing, like usual PowerPoints. But I decided to not do that because my message is pretty simple. It's pretty simple, and it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be distracted, I guess, with the PowerPoint. So my message is that most of the world does not know what emotional intelligence is. Of course, that's my opinion. I cannot base that on exact study, but after being in the business for an awfully long time and now working with people all around the world, most people, in my opinion, most people have no idea what we're talking about. None. They have no idea that they can control their own emotions. They don't know they have thoughts and feelings. They don't know that they're different. They don't know that they have to be managed differently. They don't know that their actions and their decisions are based on their thoughts and their feelings. They think they can make purely logical decisions, and I beg to differ. From what we've worked on, it's very, very, very difficult, if not impossible, to make a purely logical decision with no emotion. The problem is that most people don't know that they're doing that. They don't know about their emotions. They don't understand them. They don't know how to, they don't know that they have them, that maybe. They don't know that they're different. They don't know what they're called. They don't know how to identify them. They don't know how to separate and understand their thoughts and their feelings. They don't get it. And because they were never taught, ever. And nobody talks about them. And nobody wants to talk about them. It's a funny business that we're in, because we're selling something that people don't want in some cases. In a lot of cases, we're selling something that people don't want. They're afraid of it. They're afraid of it. And as it turns out, people, as near as I can tell, and many situations, people are afraid of their own self. They're afraid of their thoughts, and they're afraid especially of their feelings. A high emotional intelligence is about knowing and understanding your thoughts and feelings and being okay with them, and being able to accept them and learn from them and understand them and identify them and do all the wonderful things that we can do when we have awareness and acceptance of our thoughts and our feelings, which is called emotional intelligence, right? But without that, people don't know. And what's happening with that is that, as you know, I'm sure I'm talking to the choir here, is that there's a lot of problems that are happening because people don't know how to deal with their feelings, such as abuse is going up, violence is going up, divorce is going up. Suicides are skyrocketing now in India, in Nepal. I believe there's certainly in India. I saw a statistic the other day: 21% increase in young adults in suicide. 21% increase in the last 2 years. That's huge. That's huge. It's now a way to deal with your feelings. If you're not feeling good and you don't know how to stop it, that's an acceptable way to relieve it. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, but people don't know, and they have no idea, and they're so afraid of their own feelings that they give up, and they say, I can't do this. They tell themselves, I can't do this, and I'm out of here. It's so sad, and it's so avoidable. It's so avoidable. And it motivates me. It gets me out of bed in the morning, that's for sure. So what I want for us, I have good news. Okay, that's the bad news. That's the bad news. People don't know, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse with COVID. It's gotten worse, and it's continuing to get worse as we progress. In the United States, it's awful, as you probably know. I'm embarrassed to say that we are the worst at it, in my opinion. When we get upset, many of us, what do? We go out and shoot a bunch of people, a bunch of little kids, because we're upset about something that happened in high school or when we were in elementary school. Let's go shoot a bunch of kids. What the heck? That's how you deal with your anger, right? Emotional intelligence gives us choices. It gives us choices. And with those choices, we have freedom. These people, in my opinion, don't feel like they have many choices. They feel like, or they believe that I need to go, and if I'm angry at someone, I need to go shoot them or shoot myself. And they feel like that, apparently, that there aren't very many other choices. I don't know, but I do know that emotional intelligence gives us choices, and choices give us freedom. Everybody has problems. We got good problems and bad problems, right? The good problem is that too many choices. A bad problem is not enough choices. Some people complain that, they get overwhelmed because they have too many choices now once they know their emotions. Well, that's a good problem to have, I can assure you. I'd much rather have too many choices than too few. So what I want for us, people that that know about emotional intelligence, I believe that it is our responsibility. I believe that it is our job to teach those who do not know. They don't know, and they don't know that they don't know, so they're not looking. They don't know that emotions are the problem, and they don't know that emotional intelligence is a solution in so many areas. And so they're not looking for it. And so that's a tough problem in itself. Nowadays, it's getting better. More people are becoming aware. They are becoming much more aware of emotional intelligence. The demand is skyrocketing. It's exciting to be in this business now, right, Dr. Sen? I'm very happy to be in this business now because it's starting to take off. And that's the good news. The bad news is the reason it's taken off is because people are hurting and people are finding out that they don't know, and it's not going well. And so they're trying to find some way to some solutions, and they're starting to figure out that being smart about themselves might be a good way to handle their life. Shocker, but it's true. So what I would like from you, what I would like from all of you, is to be in this together. We're doing this conference. I love this, that we're doing this. I loved a lot of you are already working with people, working with others, and trying to spread the good news about emotional intelligence. It is good news. It is good news. And so I want us to present it that way as well. I want us to say, hey, I've got some good news for you. There's a whole another part of you. There are parts of you that you don't know, that you've never met, that you've never met. If you haven't dealt with your feelings, there's parts of you you've never met. And so that's good news. And more good news is that we have choices. We don't have to act the way our parents did. We don't have to act the way society tells us that we have to act. We do not have to completely freak out and lose it because we have a feeling. We can just have the feeling and not do anything with it. That's good news. More good news. We were born with most everything we need, right? Physically, we are born with the ability to handle our emotions. We have two little grandgirls. I spent most of today with them today. I got to babysit them this morning. It was a beautiful thing. I love that. And one of them's 1 year old and one's 4. She just turned 4 last week. And they're the sweetest, wonderful, beautiful little girls. My point is that they were born with they were fine, they were peaceful, they were loving, they were okay, they were calm when they were born. When they get upset, when something doesn't go well, then they feel that and they get upset, right, for a little while, and then when their needs are met, they go back to their natural state of being okay, being peaceful and calm and even loving, actually. And so I think that is the key to what we're calling positive mental health. Positive mental health is about learning how to deal with our negative emotions in order to feel more positive emotions. Okay. Mental health usually and historically has been that we go to therapy because we got a problem, we have issues, we got problems, we got pain, we got things we don't understand about ourselves. That's fine. And then positive psychology said, hey, we don't have to just go from pain to no pain. That's negative to zero. We actually can do better than that. We can do better than that. We can go from negative to zero and keep going and do better. We can be happy. We can be loving. We can be peaceful. We can be successful. We can have a pretty wonderful life just with nothing from the outside. We don't need anything outside of us to have a nice life inside of us. Pretty cool, right? That positive psychology said we can do better than that. Well, I think positive mental health is the same thing. We can do better. We can learn about ourselves. We can learn how to deal with our negative emotions, in particular, our fear, anger, and sadness. Those to me are the big three. If we can deal with our fear, our anger, and our sadness to the depth that our body needs to feel them, there's just not that much that life can throw at us that we can't handle if we can deal with our negative emotions. So we can deal with negatives, we can come back up and be more positive, and then we can keep going, and we can have perseverance, we can have resilience, we can have grit. I love that term, grit. That's this is going to be very difficult, and I can do it. I know I can do it. That's busting through, that's pushing through, that's being strong, that's courage, that's perseverance. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you can have hardships and know that you can get through them, and that you can come out the other side and actually learn from them and be stronger because of them. So that's why I'm calling it positive mental health. And I believe it really is the need of the hour. It used to be a nice skill to have, but now it is not funny anymore. Now it's a critical coping skill that we must educate. So for us sitting in this room or listening to this, for us who are in the business or you just know about it, for us who are in schools and are teaching, or for us that are learning, that are still in education but are getting ready to go out into the world, for us who are parents who are trying to bring up a kid in a very difficult world. I wouldn't want to start over at this point. It's scary how things are going. But what warms my heart and what makes it all possible is that we can teach people, we can share how to be emotionally intelligent. We can help people deal with their own feelings. Most people, like I said, are afraid of their own fear. They're afraid of their anger. They're afraid of their sadness. They're afraid of their depression. They're afraid of themselves, basically, parts of themselves. And if we can help people be more comfortable with that, they can do better. And so I am trying really hard to have been for a long time. I've done 165 talks in the last couple of years, just like this, so often in the middle of the night like this. And that's okay with me because it feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. It feels good to me. And it feels good to be able to tell people that if you reach out and you give, it's for you also. It's for you. It's not just for them. It's one of the EQ skills, one of the biggest skills. I call it give to live. Give to live. If you want to have a very complete life and you want to feel like you did something when you're done with this life, then start giving. And if we can, and it doesn't have to be money. We're not talking about money. That's the American thing. It does not have to be money. Please teach other people about emotional intelligence. What I do, just ask them, just start a conversation. Have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And then shut up and listen to the answer. Have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And they're like, I probably half the people I talk to, and I do this all the time, say, no, what's that? And you go, what do you think that means? And emotional intelligence, and it's wonderful. I've started some great conversations, or it deepens a conversation you're already having. but I really want to encourage people to you to spread the word. Some of you already are, a lot of you already are. That's great. Thank you for doing that. We're getting ready to, I'm working with a company called Nurture Life. They're in India. They have charter chapters all over the world. They're mental health related. And what we're doing is we're going to start, they have interns from colleges in India, these mostly females, and they are interns and they're coming to help out because they're interested in mental health and they're psychology students. And there's now 48 of them, which I'm very excited about. And so what we're going to do is start designing websites and designing questionnaires and ability to support. We need support. People need to be able to talk. People need a safe place. People need mentors, and they need to be able to have people watch people and practice. Emotional intelligence isn't something we can just teach somebody and they go, oh, okay, got it. It's like swimming. You can't teach somebody how to swim out of a book and then boom, they got it. You have to try it. You have to experience it. It's up to you, right? It's an experiential thing. So we have to, it takes, and it doesn't go away. It takes time, but we got to get started because people have no idea. They have no idea about their thoughts and their feelings. They don't know, especially about feelings. So I can go on and on and on. I'm very happy to be here and to be able to work with you guys. I'm very happy to be in association with many of you that as we reach out into the world, we call it outreach, and sharing what we know about emotional intelligence, that we have changed many lives and saved quite a few lives too. Saved, actually. People need to talk about their pain. They need to talk about something, and they need to talk about things and have people that matter, that care about them. So our thoughts and feelings are on the inside, our actions are on the outside. Let's take some action and share what you learned about emotional intelligence with anybody else, but just please help us spread the word, and let's do it together. That we're doing school, work, and home, all the 360, we call it, school, work, and home, all the way around. DM's working with the schools in Nepal. That's a beautiful thing. We're working with a bunch of schools in Africa. It's wonderful to do it that way and to do the ripple effect. Dr. Sen and Arhan and Khalid do EQ at work, which is great, is working with bosses, working with managers, working with leaders. We need that as well. Parents are leaders as well. And we're trying to work with EQ at home and individuals, and working with people to be able to deal with it themselves, because
we
it
would
all
also
starts
like
with
to
us.
have some question answers. So of course, I would love to go on
Okay.
listening to your brilliant talk, but I think we will also take some
Okay.
question answers. I'm sure the audience has some, and
Okay.
if they have, I'm
Okay.
very
Okay.
happy to see you answer them. I have some for you from your talk. I
Okay.
would like to learn and
Go ahead.
collectively share. So can we give him a round of applause for his brilliant talk?
A round of applause.
Thank you.
You
It
gotta go
was
around like
really
this.
nice listening to you on a variety of topics, including spread the word, give to live. So any questions
There you go.
you'd like to ask Matt?
My favorite one, by the way, is feel it to heal it. That's my favorite right now. I'm doing podcasts on that. Feel it to heal it.
Absolutely.
Any questions, you guys? Comments, disagreements, complaints?
There was, I see one hand going up. Yes. Can we
Okay.
have the mic for him?
I was just wondering why you thought mental health was such a challenge in the US in particular.
Because we're clueless, because we don't teach it in schools, because nobody knows, because our parents didn't teach us, because they don't know. They still don't know. They still don't know. And our teachers don't know. And they're just finding out now. Teachers are some of our biggest clients because they want to know. The teachers know that they don't know, put it that way. The universities and the colleges now, especially in Asia, they know that they don't know. And so they're asking, they're wondering, they're listening, they're trying to find out. But most people don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. And so they don't ask. So in the United States, we're awful about that. We're starting to, and it's again, it's based on pain. It's based on so many problems, but it's starting to change, but we got such a long way to go, man. And worldwide, we have so far to go. It's happening, but slowly.
Thank you.
Does that answer your? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, please. Can we get him the mic, please? A brief answer so that we can have more questions, and brief questions so that we can have more questions.
I get fired up. I love the subject, and there's so much to talk about. It's simple, but it ain't easy, and there's so much to it. Go ahead.
Namaste. I have one question. How to handle overconfidence and more happiness in our life? Thank you.
Overconfidence.
Any other questions, so that if they're of the same theme, he can answer them together? Any other questions? You talked about happiness and overconfidence. How do we handle them? Any other questions? Looks like that's the question at the moment. So, Matt.
Yes. And how do we handle happiness like it's a problem? That's a good thing. It's uncomfortable for sometimes for people because they're not used to it. But overconfidence would be that you think you're right. And you think you got it all going on, right? You think you're hot stuff, right? Overconfidence. That is a problem. That is very definitely a problem. I actually personally have a good friend, and I have a theory about this. I have a good friend who actually committed suicide, and he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And my summation of that is that people who are really smart are used to being right. They're used to having the right answer. They know what they know, and they're used to being right. The problem is that when emotions get involved and they start having these negative thoughts, they think they're right about them, and nobody can convince them otherwise because they're used to being right. And that was the case with my friend, and it's ugly. It would get really ugly. So being right, having to be right, is a very big issue, actually. And it is difficult to work with people who think they know it all. It is difficult. The trick is, in my opinion, what has been successful is that they think they know well, and you go, okay, logically in your left brain, you're probably right. Now let's switch over and talk about your emotions. Now it's not about being right. Now it's about feeling stuff, and that's a little bit mushier, and that's trickier. And then a lot of times they will be able to see that there's work to be done there. So
Right.
Sometimes I've been able to get to people through their feelings, not through their logic, because the logics can beat me.
I think that's again a very good answer, because we have a cognitive bias. I'm better than others, or maybe, as he said, I am right. That's what Matt said. So good answer. I think good questions, brilliant answers, very good interactions. Let me ask if somebody else wants to ask a question, or let me ask you some questions, because we can all learn from each other.
Okay.
And Matt, I look forward to
Lay
learning.
it on me.
So you quoted in the beginning 75 years of research at Harvard on what makes people happy. I know that the fourth dean presented because the earlier three had already gone into a different world beyond this world, right? But what is interesting is it was very localized. It was with non-Nigerians today. In those days, 75 years earlier, they may have been here much younger at Boston. So it is very, very, the sampling is from a very specific area, but it has all sorts of people. What is interesting is relationships was found to be the reason for happiness, lasting happiness. But in this world where we actually give ranks to students, we create individualism, where we reward in companies some people much more than others. There is individualism. There is a competition out there where you need to prove yourself to be the best. Also, this
Yep.
individualism is now reflected in many other areas. Like, you had large families, now you have nuclear families, single parents, so on and so forth. So the world is getting fragmented and the connections and the relationships are becoming fewer and fewer. I don't know whether we
Mhm.
have answers to this, but what would you say? How can we improve relationships, which is key to happiness?
Well, COVID's made it worse too. You're right. I totally agree with what you're saying, Dr. Sen. And COVID's made it worse by separating us. And I was thinking about it. The worst thing about that is that everyone became your enemy. Everyone was dangerous. It's just like the opposite of EQ, where we're trying to connect people. And with COVID's, it was stay away from everybody. I was like, no, that's your message, is to stay away from everybody. Oh my goodness, that's awful. But it's true, and it still is. And so, what we're doing right this moment is one of the solutions is to do it virtually. And we have found also, and studies have found that we can feel just as connected. It's a little bit trickier, but you can feel just as connected with other people distance through virtual reality, through not virtual reality, but yeah, actually it is virtual reality and through virtual communications. And so that is an acceptable alternative. But again, we are responsible for that. We have to stay connected. We have to talk to people. We have to keep our relationships going, right? We have to keep those, do that. We can't blame other people for not making us connecting with us. We have to connect with them however we do it. Writing,
Very true.
video, whatever, something.
Very true. Maybe organizations, schools, communities also have a role to play
Yep.
beyond the individuals.
Yep.
They must make some of these things as structures where people can, for example, when you sit down in the classroom canteen, you gel. When you sit down at a coffee shop or sit down in your company, in the restaurant, you gel. We create connections by meeting people, conversing with people. So how can organizations, schools, colleges create structures which helps people to stay connected and create robust relationships? I thought many of the answers that you gave really gelled with that. Virtual reality, yes, in the last 2 years, we know that we had issues. LinkedIn, other studies show in India, I think the stress went up to something like 39% of the working populace, which was the highest ever. Right? So that's very high. Second is, I think you made a very good point. There are no guarantees bright people will not commit suicide. The most elite schools in India, the technical schools, the IITs, I think they have suicides. And therefore, people with the highest IQs in the country, probably amongst the world, commit suicides at a very, at a rate which we would not like to have. So how can colleges actually make you build relationships, be comfortable with your results, be comfortable with self, and not look out to combat everyone and everything as an enemy, right? So that's another thing that I think I resonate with you. Third point, which you talked about, is positive emotions, right? It was interesting. Research, of course, shows that successful people and unsuccessful people, the difference is not in how many times they have positive or negative emotions, but how long they stay in those positive emotions.
Okay.
How can we tell our people to be aware of the negative emotions or the disruptive emotions, not more negative emotions, but disruptive emotions? And how can they learn to, like Martin Seligman would say, stay longer in the positive emotions, maybe positive psychology, right? So how do we do that? Would you have some answers? Would you like to share your thoughts?
The 3 steps that we've been teaching to this is awareness first, always awareness first. We can't do anything until we're aware. Second is acceptance, which is, it sounds like it's easy and it's simple and but it's harder than it sounds. But it's really required is that we accept that we have feelings and that we do need to deal with them. And thirdly is deciding to take some action or not. So, so I think to answer your question, I believe that with the schools, it's a ripple down effect. It's partly educating the educators first. And second, it's about sharing with people that what we just said about that connections are such a huge part of life. And the third thing is that the skill, one of the biggest emotional intelligence skills, is our ability to open our heart or close our heart if we don't feel safe. If it's not going well, we can close up. So we can actually open our heart and we can walk into a room and feel connected with people, or you can feel alone in a crowd. And that's up to you. That's up to you. So, so to me, awareness is a big part of it, and education is the key.
Okay. Maybe Matt, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. So thank you again. I think your answer was very appropriate. If anybody else has questions, fine. I think we would request some of the people to talk and give.
Dr. Sen, what do you think would be best for colleges? What would I'm talking to many of them. How would you suggest?
I actually teach the subject at some of the leading management schools in India. It works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me, Matt? Can you hear me, Matt?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank
Echo.
you. Good morning to you and everyone as well, and chairperson as well. So I want to ask to sum up. So how can we utilize day to day in our family related to emotional intelligence in some of this one? Could you get me?
I can hear you, but you're on twice and so it's echoing. Dr.
Okay,
Sen, could you
okay.
understand the question?
Okay. Just, I think it is okay. Let me off one.
Maybe you can disconnect your phone.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now? Clearly? Back? I think so.
Yeah, still
Yes.
echoing, but I can hear you.
Okay. How can you sum up related to emotional intelligence in our daily life in a positive way? How can you family level? Some of this.
I'm sorry. Dr. Sen, can you understand the question?
No, I am not able to hear him clearly. Probably, Dr. Mohammed, you have two instruments. Switch off one of the instruments.
Oh, I see. Okay, again problem. No? Okay, let me off.
It's kind of fun, but it's hard to hear. Hello.
Just a moment.
In one word, what were you trying to ask?
I think now it's clear. Yeah, one is off. No,
Better.
better, not best, right?
It's good.
Good. So anyway, can you sum up in a positive way related to emotional intelligence in our day-to-day life in our family?
So you said sum up in a day-to-day life, EQ in our day-to-day life, right?
Yes.
That's
in
the
the
question.
family life. Yeah.
Being aware of our awareness and acceptance of our thoughts and our feelings, and consciously choosing positives on purpose. Find ways of having fun, find ways of staying interested, find ways of connecting with people and enjoying your relationship, find ways of finding positive in our lives on purpose. It's difficult sometimes, but we still have to. We still have to, otherwise we get so negative. So gratitude and appreciation are what we call conscious positives. There's a lot of unconscious negatives. We need to consciously choose love. We need to choose peace. We need to choose positivity on purpose. I think that's the key.
Yeah, okay, I got it. We got it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for the appropriate answer. And we'll use it. We will definitely follow all this in every family to maintain these 5-6 points as you explained. Thank you very much, Mr. Matt. Chairperson, can you just continue?
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. And again, very good answer by Matt. Acceptance, awareness first, acceptance thereafter. Any other questions, sir? Yeah, please.
Sorry, this is actually a question from Colbina. But she asked, you said that suicide cases are increasing day by day. So in your view, what kinds of emotional intelligence programs should be conducted for youth in our society today?
There's so many now. There's so many now, which is good news, very good news. You're asking what type of program, or one in particular are you asking, or the concepts, or how do I answer? What are you looking for more specifically?
The sort of the types of sessions within programs. So what they can be taught.
Okay, well, there's so there's IQ and EQ, right? There's our thoughts and our feelings. What we're finding is we have to teach both. We have to teach both. What we're finding is that when something happens, a lot of it is based on pain and based on trauma and things that happened in our past. But what we find is that we then make decisions. We have thoughts about what happened to us and what that means about us in our lives. So we make big generalized belief systems, usually negative, like I don't fit in, I don't matter, this is too hard, I'm broken or weird or that sort of thing. These big, huge, then those are thoughts. Those are thoughts. They're also encapsulated with feelings. So we have to do both sides. So we'll have these terrible thoughts about who we are and how we don't fit in and that sort of thing, and those are related to, or they're encapsulated into these very painful feelings like rejection and abandonment and fear and pain and anger and all that stuff. And we got to do both. I know I need to shut up. So
Right.
I see Dr. said you're getting ready. I know we got to do both sides. It's thoughts and our feelings, not just one, both sides.
Thank you so much. I think these were wonderful interactions we had. And can we hear it for him? Because we know that we had an hour talk from him and it was scintillating. There were very good probing questions which helped us unearth a treasure of knowledge. With your permission, sir, can we call the session to a close? Give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed.
Mr. Matt Perestrelins, for giving us very, very wonderful knowledge and information about the present day society concerning IQ and EQ. Now we have the session of giving a small token of appreciation to you as a key speaker. Please come. I would like to invite Mr. Sandeep Shrestha, Principal of Samriddhi College, for offering. It's a token of love online. Yeah, thank you. First of all. Yeah, please. Yeah, appreciation. Thank you. And on the same way, we have token of appreciation to Plenary session chairperson, our doctor assistant, given by Sandeep Shrestha, principal of Samriddhi College.
Nice. Now I really want to be there. Oh,
Thank you very
Very
much
nice.
for receiving our appreciation, token of love. Yeah. And with this, we would like to conclude our preliminary session. Thank you very much.